Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Ger Sweeney presents Live on Eire in association with emeraldconnection.net.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
Well, are you fed up with me yet? Good evening and welcome. It's nice to have your company second time round today because I was sitting in for Dave this morning on daybreak between 8 and 10. Good to be with you for the second time on Dia de Andalucia Day. And our Andalusia listeners, I hope that you have had a relaxing and enjoyable day and were able to spend it with those that you wanted to spend it with. No, I'm glad that you've chosen to spend this part of it with me, with you through until 9 o'clock. Thank you very much to Howard Brereton. Thanks a million, Howard, for Spain today. I'm back with you again tomorrow between 6 and 7 live from his studio suite in Nerja. What have I got for you tonight? Well, if you were listening this morning, I did tell you the two ladies that I'm going to be talking to on the programme this evening, but I shall repeat it for those of you who were in bed at that hour of the morning. Tut, tut, tut. Sarah Blatnick is the marketing director of Visit Dublin, Ohio in America. And I'm going to be talking to her because St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner. What have we got? 19 days to it? And everybody's looking forward to it, I hope. I certainly am. And we'll be doing bits and pieces on St. Patrick's Day celebrations for the next 3 programmes. This one, next week and the week after, because that takes us up to the 13th. After that, it'll be all over. But the reason I'm talking to Sarah is because the authorities in Dublin, Ohio, have a very unusual and unique promotion on offer to anybody from Ireland who would like to go and join them in Dublin, Ohio for the St. Patrick's Day festivities. And you'll hear more about that in this hour of the programme. Very much looking forward to that. Now, the Irish Country Women's Association is well over 100 years old. And I spotted recently that Mary Darcy was after being elected the new president of the ICA, as it's known in Ireland. There's about 6,000 people involved in the organisation. There's about 450 or thereabouts guilds. That's what they call each club, is a guild. And it's a phenomenal organisation that has stood the test of time and is as relevant across Ireland in 2024 as it was when it started sometime around 1910, I think. Was it around there? And so Mary doesn't take up her position as president until May. And before she got terribly busy, I thought, wouldn't it be an ideal opportunity to talk to her about the organisation and about her role within it and see, where we go with it, because it's a major part of life in Ireland for many people, as I said, the number of people involved. So Mary and myself will be having a chat in the second hour of the programme. So I hope you'll stay with me. I have some news gathered for you as well, and I have some music gathered for you. So we'll be presenting all of that. So there you have it now. Will you stay? That's smashing. You can pour a little drink or a cup of tea or something that, just relax you. And I'll relax after the programme. It'll be grand. Now we're going to start on a sporting note because John O'Shea has been appointed interim Republic of Ireland manager for the 2 friendly international matches against Belgium and Switzerland in March. The FAI, the Football Association of Ireland, said that the job will be filled on a permanent basis in early April. O'Shea, who won 118 caps for Ireland and is third on the all-time list of appearances, will rejoin the FAI, having previously been an assistant coach under former boss Stephen Kenny. He also worked as the under-21 assistant manager to Jim Crawford. Paddy McCarthy, who recently stepped up to serve as Crystal Palace interim boss after Roy Hodgson's departure, will serve as O'Shea's assistant coach for the March period. O'Shea said that it will be an incredible honour to lead the side into the March international window. FAI Director of Football Mark Gannon said that there will be a full-time appointment after these 2 games. He said that the FAI is pleased to confirm that the process for the appointment of a new men's head coach is near completion, and the association is looking forward to announcing the appointment in April. There we go. John O'Shea, wish him the very best of luck in those 2 friendlies in March. And can I say congratulations and welcome to the family. More than 1,200 people who have been conferred with Irish citizenship at ceremonies in Dublin during the week. 2 ceremonies were held at the National Concert Hall on Monday, to be precise. And there were emotional and joyous scenes as Ireland's newest citizens stepped out onto the streets of the capital. So well done. Great to have you with us, and brilliant. Yeah, nice one. Now, the biggest story in Ireland. If you haven't been listening to me over the last couple of months, since June particularly, there's one story that has dominated the news cycles, and that is RTE. Radio Telefísión, our national public service broadcaster, which is funded by the taxpayer mostly. It's a kind of a dual funding system that they have, some commercial and some state fund. And I'm not going to get into all of the nitty-gritty with you, but last Thursday night, the Minister for Communications, or the Minister for Media, Catherine Martin, went on an RTE primetime programme on television and effectively did not say that she had faith in the chair of the RTE board. And that chair, that now former chair, is Siúl Ní Raghallaigh, a name that you will have heard me mention, and George Lee would have mentioned it a few times because we've spoken about the RTE crisis, or crisis at this stage, over the last number of months. And as a result of that, Siúl, because her minister didn't basically say on air that she had confidence in her, she resigned. And people are saying that she was effectively dismissed on national television. And there's been a whole lot of nuances. And last night, because I'm a very sad person, I sat and watched 3.5 hours of Minister Martin being grilled by the Oireachtas Media Committee, and it was very telling. It really was very telling. And again, I'm not going to get into the details of you, but I can't do an Irish programme on Talk Radio Europe or any radio station and not mention the biggest story in Ireland at the moment. Now, there is a certain amount of fatigue with the RTE story because it keeps changing, it keeps gathering pace, it keeps slowing down, and the whole thing is in turmoil. But I mention it just by way of saying that if anybody is interested enough, I know you'll be following it. But trust in RTE needs to be restored before a public funding model can be formally considered by the government. The Minister, Catherine Martin, has told Dáil Éireann today. Now, she answered 3.5 hours of questions last night at the Oireachtas Media Committee. Today, she was answering for about 1.5 hours in the Dáil. She's awaiting 2 further reports due next month, and these will provide a basis for further action by RTE, she said. Further reform is required, she added, in order to achieve that trust, and after which government will decide whether or not to abolish the TV licence or otherwise restructure the funding of RTE. There is a whole pile of shenanigans going on there. And for me, because I'm interested in media and some of the players involved, I'm glued to it. But anyway, there we go. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to disregard what I said is the biggest story at the moment. The second biggest story, well, I suppose it is really, is a story that started last Friday because 2 Kerry men charged in relation to the biggest ever haul of crystal meth in the country have appeared in court today via video link. Nathan MacDonald appeared first this morning at Tralee District Court via video link from Portage Prison. He's a 43-year-old owner of Ballyseedy Garden Centre just outside Tralee in County Kerry, and he's charged with possession of drugs worth more than €13,000 for sale or supply at the Garden Centre between October 27th last and February 12th of this year. Now, James Lean, who's 41, from Kilmorna in Listowel, is facing 2 charges, one of drug importation of crystal meth worth €13,000 or more last October, and the possession for sale or supply of methamphetamine worth €13,000 between October 27th last, and February the 12th this year. Now, the court was previously told that customs officials examined a container in the port of Cork, which had an electronic magnetic metal recycling machine, which was purpose-built to conceal the drugs, which the court was told were almost impossible to find. The court then the court said that the 543 kilograms of crystal meth with an estimated street value of €32.8 million was found in the machine. The court heard that following the discovery of the drugs, searches were carried out in Cork and in Kerry. Both men were arrested. At an earlier hearing, Gardaí said that they believe that the machine had been brought into Ireland from Mexico in October of last year as part of an operation for an organised crime gang, and Mr. Lean was suspected of directing this illegal operation for the gang. They, as in the Gardaí, said that it was their belief that Mr. Lean was a serious logistics figure for an organised crime gang. The gang in question is the notorious Mexican Sinaloa cartel. Both men were further remanded in custody after today's hearings. So there you have it. Incredible, isn't it? I know the particular garden centre in Tralee that's being referred to there, and it was like the hub, apparently, allegedly. Incredible stuff, and a lot of people talking about that particular story. I'd better play a bit of music, because I could yak away here forever, but I'd like to get a bit of music into the programme as well. PJ Curtis, who has the finest pair of ears that anybody was ever given, was in touch with me, and he said, do you remember, he said, I spoke to you some time ago, he said, about a fella called Jody Gallagher. I said, I do. I said, he's knocking up around there in Frahiliana, and that's him, he says. Well, he said he's got a new song out and you should hear it because it's lovely. And I said, well, send it on to me or tell me where I can hear it. And I took a listen to it. It's called Lovely. It's Power of Positive Thought. And Jody Gallagher, I don't know if you happen to be listening, but I did say that I would get in contact with you because I want to have a chat with you on the programme. I will do. My apologies for being so tardy in doing that, but I will do. Here it is. Enjoy it. Power of Positive Thought, Jody Gallagher.
Let all your thoughts be positive every day you live, and they'll give you everything you ever want. Say no to negativity, and you can let your limit be infinity and even way beyond. You get money in the bank, you get a tiger in your tank. Without it all you'll get is diddly squat. So forget your hocus pocus and get your mind and body focused and feel the power of positive thought. There's no scientific reason to say that's how life should be. The laws of physics haven't changed as far as I can see. So does that mean that I'm crazy? Or does that mean that I'm not? Either ways I'll sing the praises of positive thought. If your life is dull and tragic, you can change it just by magic. It ain't no big deal, you just gotta feel the force. It's everywhere around you, it's in the air and on the ground. And let me tell you how to recognize the source. Tell yourself that you can do it, you can eat it up and chew it, and you knew that it was always meant to be. And just forget your paranoia and don't let anyone annoy you. Get yourself a positive philosophy. Every problem in creation, every little aggravation gradually seem to fade away. You'll get all that you require, everything your heart desires, just as sure as night is gonna follow day. Tell your friends and your relations that in every situation to be positive and never question why. Otherwise, just take your head and place it down between your knees and kiss your aspirations goodbye. There's no scientific reason to say that's how life should be. The laws of physics haven't changed as far as I can see. So does that mean that I'm crazy? Or does that mean that I'm not? Either ways, I'll sing the praises of positive thought. Either ways, I'll sing the praises of positive thought.
POPT, Power of Positive Thought. That comes from Jodie, we've heard on the programme before. Only once, and we're going to talk to Jodie Gallagher. We will, before the year is out. Sometimes I jump on stuff immediately, and then sometimes I just get sidetracked, and things just don't go the way they should. But anyway, Jodie, congratulations on that new single. I like it. A good friend of mine, POPT, is something that he would often send on a text to a friend or a loved one who might be in difficulty or feeling down or things looking bad or going through a tough old time, and he might just send a text with POPT, Power of Positive Thinking, he calls it. So yeah, I kind of liked the title from the off. No, that's it. I'm going to take a very quick break, and I'll be straight back to you to tell you about a golfer that was a little bit hard done by on his journey between Spain and Ireland. I'll tell you more about that just after these.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
And you welcome back to the programme. Now, I told you, I've mentioned about a lad that was in great old form. He's from Galway. His name is Joe Lyons, and he was flying high after winning the Spanish Seniors Amateur Open Golf on Sunday last, only to be forced to bin the trophy. Yeah, after Ryanair refused to allow him to bring it home in the cabin. Mr. Lyons, who is the reigning Irish Seniors Close Championship, closed the day on Sunday in the competition with a 5-under 67 to come from 3 behind to win the Spanish Seniors Amateur Open by 4 strokes in Sevilla. Then he headed off to the airport, all delighted with himself for his flight home to Cork. He was flying to Cork and then he had to drive to Dublin, or to Galway. He was with his wife Vera, but as neither of them could fit the silver cup in their hand luggage, he was forced to leave it at the gate to be binned later by staff. Joe told reporters that he and his wife got to the check-in. They had their hand luggage with them, and Joe had the trophy. Staff said that he couldn't board the aircraft with the trophy unless it could be put into their hand luggage. So his wife, Vera, tried to put it into her hand luggage. She actually got it in a good bit of the way, apparently, but the zip on her luggage wouldn't close. And they said, no. Computer says no. No good. Can't happen. And so you need to be able to close all the zips, apparently. So he said, I kind of threw the toys out of the pram a bit. And the woman behind the desk said, well, we can't keep it. So I said, well, do what you want with it. Luckily, it was a replica of the actual trophy, as the winner receives a replica, not the original trophy itself. Then, overnight, that was Monday, and then overnight, that was Sunday, and this hit the papers and the news headlines on Monday. And I was gathering stuff on Monday for Tuesday's Daybreak. And then on Tuesday morning, I spotted that overnight it was announced that Joe's hopes to be reunited with his trophy were coming clearer, as a Ryanair representative had called him on Monday to apologise for the incident, promising that the trophy would be put on a flight back to Ireland and couriered straight to his Galway home. Joe said that he got a very apologetic phone call from somebody in Ryanair's marketing department, and she said it should never have happened and that it was a mistake by one of their handling agents, probably one of their former handling agents at this stage. Several members of the Irish seniors team that had competed in the event at Sevilla had stayed on until Monday, but failed in their efforts to locate the trophy in the Ryanair office at Sevilla Airport before their flight back to Dublin. However, Joe Lyons was delighted to receive a phone call of apology from Ryanair and a promise that he'd be reunited with the precious piece of silverware on Monday, and he was. He was. That was a good rescue from Ryanair. It really was. But I don't think it was ever going to be any other way. And the Irish government is going to try harder to communicate in plain English. The Cabinet agreed yesterday to fund 38 staff members across government departments and agencies as plain language editors. They're going to aim to take out the gobbledygook, the jargon and the cluttered sentences from official messaging to help make it more comprehensible. The drive will extend to educational training boards, public, health and community services and non-governmental organisations. The aim is to ensure information provided by the government is accessible to all, a spokesperson said. Higher Education Minister Simon Harris brought the memo as part of a number of measures to be taken this year, most of which relate to improving adult literacy. Last year, plain English training was offered to civil servants and staff across government communications and customer service staff. 20 staff attended the first course late last year, with further courses planned for this year. The government will also pursue the development of a plain language editing course in Irish, with the standard module translated into the first national language. That's nice. Yeah, it's nice to get the message in plain English, isn't it? Stormont officials have been instructed to restart discussions in relation to an All-Ireland bid to host the opening stages of the Tour de France. Northern Ireland Economy Minister Conor Murphy has said previous talks on a joint bid to host the grand depart of the world's most famous cycle race in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland were suspended because of the absence of a Stormont executive, but he now wanted to explore what bringing the event to the island could achieve. The 2014 Giro d'Italia cycle race featured stages on both sides of the Irish border and was hailed for its economic and tourist impact. At ministerial question time yesterday, I believe, Mr. Murphy was asked if there are plans to submit an All-Ireland bid to host the opening stages of the Tour de France. He said, since coming into the post, I have instructed my officials to reopen that dialogue. As part of those deliberations, the cost of the bid would have to be weighed against the benefits. But he did note that in 2014, with the Giro d'Italia Grande Partenza, which was hosted in Ireland, it generated around 2.5 million pounds in economic activity, 12.7 million pounds in tourism impact, and around 227,000 visitors. So, as I said this morning when I mentioned that story on Daybreak, money well spent, a good investment all round, I would think. Sean Joyce has a brand new album. Hang on, I have a look and see what the notes said from the man who is promoting this and sent me the details. What did he tell me about Sean Joyce? Yes, this is his second single. I know that he's planning an album, but I don't have details on it. And I just want to say to you that I was concerned about the sound on this recording, but I got a second recording of it, checked it, and it's actually the same. Just sounds a bit weird to me for some strange reason. Don't know why, but you might find it okay.
I could have told you not to do it, but you know, yeah, you know, because your past and you went through it. Still you know I don't listen to myself. They make me smile like the old me. My boys don't forget me. And they're all caught on the inside. Glass been broken for a long time. My boys don't forget me. Carried my man in the heart of June. His mind had faded all too soon. Some of him remain in tune. My boys, my boys. Rode our bikes down the path, it's kids' tracks. I've never found out a day since. They all cry 'cause the time it's been. My boys, my boys. And when my world fades, and when my world fades, will you remember my face? your sister if not yourself. Hang on for your mother if no one else. My boys, don't forget me.
He's from County Mayo. His name is Sean Joyce, and that's a new single. His second single. It's called My Face. If you can hear some noise in the background, apologies. I'm wearing a 24-hour blood pressure monitor. If you can hear it. And it goes off every half hour, and it goes off at the most inconvenient times when you're trying to make a left turn or something. Driving the car earlier on and stuff like that. So yeah, apologies for that. But next time it goes off, it'll be news time. You won't hear it. Right, I'm going to take a break because we then have to have a conversation with Sarah Blatnick from Dublin, Ohio. We're going to talk about St. Patrick's Day and a really nice promotion that they have running there. And looking forward to that conversation just after these.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
Saving on your insurance is quick with Linea Directa.
When you say quick, how quick?
In a jiffy, my dear.
What, like at warp speed?
Before you can say Jack Robinson.
Oh, grease lightning.
Talking of which, how's that Morris Minor of yours?
Switch and save on your insurance with Linea Directa. Maybe that's why 9 out of 10 satisfied customers recommend us. Call 919-181-130. That's 919-181-130. And get the best price for car, bike and home insurance. Conditions apply.
Is your car automatic? Transmatic are the automatic gearbox specialists on the Costa del Sol. Since 1990, Transmatic have specialised in the repair and servicing of automatic and manual gearboxes. All makes and models from the earliest classics to the latest hybrids. Transmatic undertake other mechanical work by appointment, all with a 1-year guarantee. At Transmatic, testing and diagnosis is free. So book your car in for a check before it's too late. Also, Delta Car Rental by Transmatic. Short and long term. Call today 952 796 166 or find us online at transmatic.es.
What is it that you love the most about living in Spain? Weather? The landscapes? The music? Sports perhaps? People? Or just daily life?
Spain Today.
If you want to get informed about the main things you're interested about in Spain.
Presented by Howard Brereton.
Join me on Spain Today, live on weekdays from 6 p.m. here on Talk Radio Europe.
Talk Radio Europe.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
There is a lot of advertising at the moment in Ireland about the wonderful festival over St. Patrick's Week and St. Patrick's Weekend in Dublin. And they always have a big festival. That's Dublin, Ireland. But there's something happening in another Dublin as well. And that's Dublin, Ohio. I'm delighted to be able to speak this evening to Sarah Blatnick, who is the marketing director of Visit Dublin, Ohio. Sarah, you're very welcome to the programme. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Not at all. Delighted. You're bribing people to come to Ohio, and you're bribing Irish people because you're getting right to the heart of what we love. Tell us what you're doing.
Well, I like to think we're inviting the Irish rather than bribing, and just want to treat them to a great time. So what we are doing is inviting anybody from Dublin, Ireland to make the trip over to Dublin, Ohio for our St. Patrick's Day celebrations between March 8th and March 18th. If they do make that trip, we are going to show them a fantastic time here, but they will also receive a lot of free pints on us when they arrive. And like I said, in addition to the pints, of course, a great time here, lots of Dublin, Ohio swag for them, and great memories.
No, two things in that. I was born and raised in Limerick, which is the other side of the country, but I live in County Clare when I'm in Ireland. And we have a major chip. Look at that, a major chip on the shoulder, because everything happens in Dublin and it's all about Dublin and nobody ever thinks about anything else. And you did say that if people come from Dublin, Ireland, now I know that's the only way you can fly directly to Ohio, but could a Limerick man or a Clare man or a Mayo man or woman or somebody from anywhere in Ireland, can they qualify as well?
I would say we would accept them. Yes. Good. I think, like you said, especially having that kind of dual home area, we would definitely consider them for the promotion.
All right. And the second thing, because when you say we'll give you free pints, the Irish person wants to know exactly how much pints will we be getting now?
How many? So it's $200 worth of pints while they are here. So if you, let's say, $8 to $10 a beer, which I think is on the high side, they'll be getting at least 20 pints, perhaps 30. And like I said, lots of other Dublin Irish or Dublin, Ohio swag that comes along with the visit.
All right. Let's stop messing about and talking about drink.
I know.
Yeah, let's talk about what you will be doing generally for St. Patrick's Day or the weekend of St. Patrick's or whatever. What have you got planned?
Yeah, so we're kind of known in Ohio as the St. Patrick's Day destination. Of course, with a name like Dublin, the first thing you think of is Irish. So we've really embraced that in a lot of ways year round, but specifically during St. Patrick's Day, which for us is actually 2 weekends of celebrations this year. So we will have on March 9th our parade that will go through our downtown area. That is a very family friendly, all of the locals come out. We get people from all over Ohio and the states surrounding us that come for that parade. It's one of the best in the state and in the region. And then the following weekend on the 16th, we will have our pub crawl in downtown Dublin. Downtown Dublin is made up of historic Dublin and an area called Bridge Park, and it is all connected by this bridge, this pedestrian bridge that we have over the Scioto River. So pubs, restaurants, bars on both sides of the river there will be part of that event. And then we have, of course, we have a couple of Irish pubs in downtown Dublin who have their own events. We have non-Irish restaurants and attractions that hold St. Paddy's Day events because they know that when people are coming to Dublin during St. Patrick's Day, that they want to celebrate, they want to have a great experience here. So lots going on.
How clued into the whole Irish scene are you in Dublin? I mean, is there, as you did say there at the start when you were just saying a few minutes ago, is that, people link Dublin with Ireland, but is that very obvious with the man and the woman on the street?
So it's probably best to give you a little bit of the history of Dublin, and really how we got our name is how we made the Irish connection in the first place. So when the settlers of the lands, the Sells family, came here 1803, and they actually took a part of land, what's historic Dublin today, in 1810 to create a village. The surveyor of the land was a man named John Shields, and he was from Dublin, Ireland. And when they gave him naming rights to the village, he looked around. The story goes that he looked around and he saw the sun beaming over the hills, and it made him nostalgic for his birthplace. So Dublin, Ohio was then born. And so since then, the city has really embraced kind of that Irish spirit and Irish fun and hospitality. In addition to St. Patrick's Day, we have one of the largest 3-day Irish festivals in the world. Brings in 100,000 people every first weekend of August every year. All of our high school mascots are Irish themed. Our fire hydrants are green here. All of the logos of businesses all over have shamrocks. And then we've created some experiences, too, that people can have while they're here. Things like our Celtic cocktail trail that, of course, includes Irish pubs, but also brings in, Italian restaurants and fine dining and things like that who have created these Irish themed cocktails for people to try. We have an Irish ferry door trail, which is in partnership with a company from Dublin, Ireland, who creates little ferry doors that's here in our unique shops in downtown Dublin. And then, of course, like I said, our signature events, St. Patrick's Day, Dublin Irish Festival. So there's a lot of ways you can kind of celebrate both year round and on those specific events. We do not have like a large Irish population here. It wasn't settled by the Irish or anything like that. It's really based on the man who was given the naming rights that kind of brought up all of this connection. Our city is a friendship city with Dublin, Ireland. So our city management works with them. I think we have similar goals in what we want our cities to be. And so that's another nice connection we have. But that's really kind of how it all started. And everybody in the community has really latched on to it. I think it's really proud to be from Dublin. And I think, like I said, when you say the name Dublin, people think of one thing and one thing only. And we decided, instead of trying to fight that, to embrace it and really make it part of our DNA here in Dublin, Ohio.
Absolutely wonderful. What do people in Dublin, Ohio do? Is it a manufacturing production town? Is it a software? Is it, what's the main industry? What do you do?
Yeah, so we have a large corporate base in Dublin. We have a lot of large companies that call Dublin home, things like Wendy's, Cardinal Health. And it really is across the board. I'd say the newest kind of additions have been a lot of tech and IT type work, but there's really it kind of isn't specific to one industry as to what people do here. The nice thing is because there is such a large corporate base and a lot of people want to have their company headquartered in Dublin, you do have the opportunity to both work and live here, play here. Of course, it's a great place to raise a family. We have a lot of great amenities. We have a fantastic downtown area that continues to grow. And then, as I mentioned, we have these huge national, international events that you wouldn't expect from a city of our size. So nothing specific as far as industry wise, and it's always changing. There's always new businesses coming in. We have a lot of healthcare and things like that. So it's kind of across the board, nothing specific.
How have you grown to be such a big city? And I'm going to continue with this for a second, because if I'm not mistaken, you've got a population of around 50,000. Mm-hmm. And there would be satellite towns or villages outside of Dublin, Ireland, who would have a population of 50,000 and wouldn't be considered a city. So, if I'm correct, you're only a city since the mid 1980s, when you had a population of about 10 or 11,000. So
that is correct.
So, what's the criteria for being a city then in Ohio?
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay, sorry.
What I do know is, a couple of the things that were catalysts for our growth, because as you mentioned, we didn't become a city till 1987.
Okay.
And at that point had a population of about 11,000 people. And today we're over 50,000 people. So that's a pretty big jump in a really, relatively short span of time. One of the biggest things, so I don't know if you follow the PGA, but we have a big golf tournament here. It's called the Memorial Tournament, and it's on a course that was built by Jack Nicklaus. And Jack Nicklaus is a world-renowned golfer. He holds crazy titles, and he still runs and hosts that tournament every year. So when he built that course, and the neighborhood that surrounds it was really one of the first big turning points for the growth in the city. As I mentioned, our kind of corporate base also of continuing to have companies wanting to be here and families wanting to have their kids here is another reason that we've grown so much. We have some of the best schools in the state here in Dublin. And like I said, it's you really get that charming small town feel, which I think people really like for a home. But we have the amenities of a big city, and we have the companies and the innovation of a big city. So you really get the best of both worlds here. some of the benefits that we always talk about in Dublin in comparison to, larger cities. Of course, we're about 20 minutes outside of the capital of Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. So some of the great things in Dublin, we have free parking, which I feel like is unheard of these days.
Wow.
So free parking, which is great. We have everything in Dublin is very, very clean. The city is very well managed, very well kept. I think when you see it, it's very hallmark feeling and very beautiful, even down to the plants and the streetscapes and things like that. It's very well planned. It's also very well connected. So we have over 100 miles of connected bike trails. We have 64 parks. And I've mentioned our pedestrian bridge, the Dublin Link, that spans the Scioto River and connects both historic Dublin and Bridge Park in our downtown area, really allows for you to park and bike or walk or scooter or however you would like to get around very, very easily. And all of that connection, not only the physical connection of being able to get places easily, there's also a really strong sense of community in Dublin, and people have a lot of pride living here. I think when people come to visit, they're shocked. And once they actually come see us, they are, pleasantly surprised of what they find here. So those, are many, many reasons why we have grown and why people continue to want to come to Dublin.
Is it a safe place to live?
Very safe. So we're always, I don't know if the 2024 stats are out yet, but every year we're on the nation's list of top safest places for small cities. So like I said, it's very, very clean, very safe, which are two, I think, huge selling points for people.
We're not going to delve too much into this, but I have to ask you about politics. November of this year, whoever wins, because it looks like it's going to be Trump v. Biden again, whoever wins, does it make any difference to the city, do you think?
No, not really. We have our city government here does a fantastic job of both managing the city and I think innovating and listening to the community. I think that community mindedness that I would keep mentioning and that community spirit that we have here really flows all the way up to our city council and our city management. So they are pretty much completely separate from national politics. Of course, there are things, state regulations, federal regulations that will impact anybody in the state of Ohio or in the U.S. But I'd say on the city level, our city management really focuses on what its constituents, what our residents want, what they're hearing from our businesses and what they need to stay here. And some of the things, the new development and stuff that we've had over the past 5 years is a direct response into what they're hearing from the community and what people want and what people will need as they continue to, either become an empty nester, or if you're a young professional, or if you're part of, the aging community, like what are the options here, and just making sure that you can spend your full span in Dublin if you so choose.
Okay. Talk to me about the media in Dublin, Ohio. What have you got? You have local radio stations, you have TV station, I'm sure, which is locally and affiliated to networks and that, and newspapers still would be very much so. So is it the full gambit?
Yeah, so we have a lot of it is more central Ohio, like regional, the region's media. In Dublin specific, we do have what's called Dublin Life, which is a magazine. We used to have a newspaper specific to the Dublin area that has gone away in the past few years. But yeah, I mean, the local TV, which is mostly Columbus-based, that reaches out to the suburbs. And then, of course, with the rise of influencers and things like that, we have plenty of those in Dublin and plenty who want to come to Dublin. So we're always excited to host those people. But really, I think we're lucky, again, to go back to our city management. They're kind of a news outlet for our residents as far as what they put out on social media, what their email marketing looks like and things like that. So they're a great resource, but yeah, mostly it's that central Ohio-based media.
And do you mind if I ask you a personal question? Are you a native of Dublin?
So I grew up in the suburb next to Dublin. Okay. So I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
For anybody who's not from Central Ohio, I was born and raised here. So have been here my whole life. Have been here specifically with Visit Dublin, Ohio for over 10 years. So I've seen a lot happen. Like I said, our city is ever evolving and growing and changing. And so what Dublin was when I started here in 2013 is not the Dublin that you see today. It's today is a much more evolved, larger scale of a city than what I could have even imagined 10 years ago.
Lovely. Going back to asking you about St. Patrick's week and the celebrations over the 2 weekends, and I was asking, can a Clare man or a Clare woman arrive? Supposing there's somebody listening to this in Spain and they think, you know what? Why don't we go to Ohio for the St. Patrick's Day celebration? Or they could be listening to it in Paris or in Berlin or somewhere in the Netherlands or whatever. Will you give them a few pints free as well?
Of what they should do while they're here?
No, will you give them a few pints of beer?
Oh, from other, well.
If they heard it on this program.
Specifically is only for those that we share the name with.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I would love to host, of course, anybody that's willing to make the trip and would make sure that they have a fantastic time. But for the free pints and the other Dublin promotion specifically, it is only those that share our name.
In honesty, no. Are you expecting people to take you up on the offer?
I hope so. I mean, I am ready. I am prepared to host them and share pints with them and show off our city here. So I would love to have somebody come visit us. And I keep saying, I would love to make the trip over to Dublin, Ireland, too. So if there's any free pints there, let me know.
Well, I tell you one thing, if you're price conscious about your pints, Dublin is not the place to go because there was a big news story last week in Ireland about the first €10 pint that was served in the country, and it was served in Dublin. In Temple Bar. It was €10 something for a pint of cider. And the country is up in arms over it.
Yeah. Well, I can understand why.
I'm based in Ennis. And when I go for a pint in my local, I pay $4.50 for my pint of Guinness.
Oh, wow.
Wow is right. Wow is right.
Well, I do feel like Temple Bar is the kind of quintessential. When you go to Dublin, you must go to Temple Bar. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's more of a tourist attraction at this point than,
exactly
a local watering hole.
Indeed. Listen, it's been lovely listening to you talk about Dublin, Ohio, and about your celebrations, the planned celebrations for St. Patrick's Day. I also note on your website that you're looking for people to vote your festival as being one of the best festivals. Is it one of the best festivals in America or Ohio or in the world, or what is it?
One of the best cultural festivals in America. So it is USA Today, 10 Best, Reader's Choice. So if you have ever been to our festival, or even if it just sounds cool, we would love your support in voting for that. It's a daily vote. It is a fantastic festival. It is definitely worth the trip. First weekend in August, every year, 3 days full of music, dance, cultural activities. One of my favorite things, they have a Celtic canine area, which is dogs that are native to Ireland, but lots of fun. You can track your genealogy. Great for families, friends, couples. The vibe really changes depending on the time of day. So it really is an amazing festival, and in my opinion, definitely worthy of the number one spot of the best cultural festival in the U.S.
You're kind of handy enough at your job, aren't you? Very much so. Listen, I'm going to leave it at that, and thanks ever so much, Sarah Blatnick, who is the marketing director for Visit Dublin, Ohio. You can take a look at what they do online at visitdublinohio.com, and you'll get a great sense of the city and of the people, and I can tell from chatting with you that you absolutely adore what you do, and no reason why not. Happy St. Patrick's Day in advance, and I hope that you get plenty of people taking you up on your offer, and we'll have a few pints someday when I see you, either here or there.
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. I hope to see you and all your listeners in Dublin, Ohio soon.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right, thank you.
or something that's yet to come. I get a feeling telling me what's undone. When I find out you don't love me, honey, when I find out you're going away, be no surprise, 'cause I saw you running, saw you running, saw you running from where I lay there. Be no surprise, 'cause I saw you running, saw you running, saw you running from where I lay. Got a hand to hold my head below. Yes, I've got a man and I've got a gun. One is for fighting, the other one's just for fun. One is for fighting, the other one's just for fun. When I find out you don't love me, honey, when I find out you're going away, be no surprise, 'cause I saw you running, saw you running, saw you running from where I lay there. Be no surprise, 'cause I saw you running, saw you running, saw you running from where I lay. Most of the time, my mind's on happiness. Yes, some of the time, but not for long. I get a picture of something that's yet to come. I get a feeling telling me what's undone. When I find out you don't love me, honey, when I find out you're going away, be no surprise, 'cause I saw you running, saw you running, saw you running from where I lay there. Be no surprise, 'cause I saw you running, saw you running, saw you running from where I lay there. Be no surprise, 'cause I saw you running, saw you running, saw you running from where I lay.
I was thinking there to myself while I was listening to that I've always liked that song for as long as I can remember. And I was checking it out. 1977 it was released. Midnight Well, Saw You Running. And great song it is. You've heard it before. Played it for you last summer at some stage. And I think at the time I might have run out of time and didn't get a chance to play it all. So I thought when I saw it today, I said, let's do that. But yeah, 1977, I would have been 10. So I was right. I've always loved it. 26 towns and villages across the country of Ireland have outlined plans to transform their localities to tackle dereliction and vacant buildings and improve community meeting places and amenity projects under the government's Town Centre First project. The €2.6 million fund will see each town granted €100,000 to improve the look of their localities, identifying more heritage and riverside projects to improve daily life and pride for families and businesses. The projects are all community-led with a bottom-up approach, in which local people themselves identify how best their villages could be improved with a diverse range of projects. In addition, new town regeneration officers have also been appointed at every local authority in the country to drive forward and advise local communities. Planned projects include repurposing derelict sites, creating community parks and walkways, protecting heritage sites, and thus improving tourism and business opportunities. Minister for Rural and Community Development, Heather Humphreys, launched 26 of the first phase plans today at an event in County Limerick. She said that the initiative was about empowering people to develop a vision for their town that can make it a better place to live, work, invest in, and enjoy. There you go. Nice story, and I wish them all well. I hope it goes extremely well for them. Have I time for this? A herd of cattle in County Galway has relocated to pastures new for a biodiversity project which will run until early summer. The Dexter cows are grazing on a coastal headland in the Renmore area of the city, where it is hoped that they will help to rejuvenate a 2-hectare area over the coming months. The animals have been selected for the task given their eating habits and smaller than usual hooves. Council officials are hoping that they will clear long grass from the area, allowing the existing seed bank to flourish and flower over late spring and into summer. If the project is successful, the cows will return to Renmore next winter to repeat the process. Biodiversity Officer with Galway City Council, Paula Kearney, explained how the area in question already formed part of a pollinator plan where mowing is carried out just once a year in order to support native flora and fauna. While that has been beneficial, the rich soil on the coastal site means that grasses thrive there, impeding flower growth. She said the Dexter cows will take out the dead grass or thatch along with longer grasses, while also scoring the ground gently with their hooves. Nice one. I'll finish that story just after news. See you in 2 minutes.
Talk Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
And you welcome back. Welcome to the second hour of the programme. Let me finish that story that I was talking about before the news break. And I wanted to finish it because there is an end to it, if you know what I mean. Some stories you can just stop halfway and it has a natural conclusion. I was mentioning to you about the Dexter cows. They're going to take out the dead grass or thatch along with the longer grasses while also scoring the ground gently with their hooves. I mentioned earlier that they have little teeny tiny feet. This combination will allow seeds to germinate and hopefully flourish. Now, when that happens, bees and other insects will be attracted to the site, supporting and enhancing biodiversity in the area. Local schools, community groups and voluntary organisations have all signed up to take part in the project. The cows have travelled from a farm in Lacha for their city break and seem to be taking well to their new surroundings. There's pictures of them online as well. So that's a nice story. And nice to see that, people are using nature to rejuvenate nature, which is really nice as well. Another nice, who do we have on the programme in this hour? I'm going to be talking to Mary Darcy. Mary was recently elected president of the Irish Country Women's Association, the ICA as we call it. And it's a very relevant organisation, even though it's over 100 years old. And Mary takes up her position in May. And we hadn't mentioned, I don't think, anything about the ICA on the programme over the last number of years. So when I saw the little piece about her being elected, I thought, before she gets too busy, why don't we see if we can have a chat with her about the ICA, what it's all about, the history of it, what they do on a day-to-day basis, and the communities that they're involved in, and what her relationship with the association has been and is today. And that conversation I am hoping to have with Mary in this hour of the programme, so I'm looking forward to it. A total of 20,000 pairs of pre-loved sports shoes donated by children from all over Ireland have been delivered to Cape Town in South Africa to benefit children in local schools and townships. The In My Shoes charity, co-founded by Sligo man Kieran McHugh, collected the shoes from 350 schools throughout the country last year. Over 100 volunteers helped gather, sort and pack the shoes into 500 specially made boxes to be transported to Africa. The initiative grew out of a business trip to Africa some years ago when Mr. McHugh noticed children were playing sports without shoes. He thought of the shoes his own children had grown up with or grown out of, which were still in good condition in the attic. He figured that there were thousands of pairs of perfectly good shoes in many other attics around Ireland and set up a charity to give them a second life. Along with his business colleague, Kevin Grant, who is London-based, but originally from Bloemfontein in South Africa, he set up the charity to tackle the issue of children going barefoot. It began as a small initiative, but grew to a widespread campaign, which Mr. McHugh said shows how small acts of kindness can have profound impact. Excuse me, I have to just rub my left eye because it's kind of irritating me. No. And if I didn't rub it, there might be something in it. No, that seems to be better. In My Shoes partners with leading South African non-governmental agencies such as Connect Academy, Catch Trust and Massey Sports to efficiently distribute shoes to children in need. And over this week alone, the team had been meeting with those partners to personally deliver the preloved footwear, I like that, ensuring excuse me, I'm still rubbing the eye. Ensuring that they reach those who need it most. Catherine McGee, who was campaign manager for In My Shoes and is in South Africa with Mr. McHugh, said the benefit of donating the shoes to children would help with improved school attendance, enhance safety, boost self-esteem and access to all school sports. Another great initiative. There's so many good initiatives like that, aren't there? Where people see something, they see a little gap and they think, you know what, I can fill that. I was just thinking there about the shoes in the attic. When I was growing up, if you grew out of shoes, they were handed down to a sibling or a cousin or something like that. And often the clothes that we wore came from, well, no, I don't have an older brother. And I certainly wasn't wearing my sister's dresses. Not in those days, no. Our cousins or whatever the case might be. So yeah, it's amazing. Why would you put shoes in the attic? Wouldn't you bring them to a charity shop? But anyway, they're putting them to good use now, which is absolutely brilliant. 20,000 pairs of them having been donated. That's brilliant. You probably heard the story already today because it has made headlines, not just in Ireland, but across Europe. In fact, I heard Stephen Ritson giving it considerable time today. And that's in relation to an Irish anti-corruption advocate who's being detained in Iraq. He's been beaten, blindfolded and robbed, according to his wife. Laura Wickham has called on the Irish government to do everything in its power to ensure that her husband, Yasser El-Jabouri, comes home to Ireland as soon as possible. Mr. El-Jabouri, who was born in Iraq, was detained on Monday at Baghdad airport while attempting to return to Ireland. She was speaking initially today on RTE's Morning Ireland. Ms. Wickham said that her husband, who was in Iraq to visit this morning, to visit his mother, has been detained and denied permission to leave and return to his family in Ireland. She said she received word from Mr. El-Jabouri's brother in Iraq and Iraqi solicitors that he has been mistreated. She added that she has had no direct contact with her husband since his detention. She received word from Iraq's Prime Minister's office that Mr. El-Jabouri has been charged with defamation. Ms. Wickham also said that she received correspondence from Taoiseach and Minister for Foreign Affairs Micheál Martin last night and thanked him for his assistance. Mr. El-Jabouri regularly highlights corruption issues in Iraq on his X account, where he has almost 75,000 followers. He lives in Balgriffin in Dublin with his wife and their 3 young children. The Department of Foreign Affairs says it does not comment on details of individual cases, but confirmed that it was aware of the case and is providing consular assistance. Ms. Wickham said that her husband first came to Ireland about 16 years ago and they met about 3 years later. He currently works for LinkedIn in Dublin. Apparently, he was there in Iraq as well last September. Again, a visit to see his mum, and went into the country, did his business and left, and there were absolutely no issues. And so she's querying why there was this time. There seems to have been some question mark, according to the Iraqis, over his passport. He's an Irish citizen with an Irish passport. Anyway, well, we have some more music. Come on, so were you listening today to Stephen? If you were, you would have heard him finish off with a fabulous Indian song. If you get a chance, let me find it for you. If you get a chance, take a listen. Just put it into wherever it is that you listen to music. It might be on Spotify or it might be on YouTube or whatever the case might be. Chaya Chaya. Chaiyyya. All right? Chaiyyya. Chaya Chaya. Put that in. And when you find the piece of music that you're looking for, that's the one, right? That'll come up. And it's lovely. And it's about 6.5 minutes long. He didn't play 6.5 minutes of it, but he remarked at the start that he said, I don't normally play Bollywood type music. I'm only saying that because this particular group is known as Billowwood. And they're called Billowwood. And this is a song which is called Pushin' and Shovin'.
The view from my room has been pushing and shoving. I send connect nothing with nothing. I don't see faces, all shapes are blurred, but there's darkness now where you once were.
I left you a message through walls of caves. If I only knew now what words to say. Now and then you could try to sell your soul just to say goodbye.
'Cause I know when you're here, there's nothing that I fear. And I know when you're there, it's too far for you to care.
You from my room has been pushing and shoving. I stand alone, connect nothing with nothing. I don't see faces, all shapes are blurred, but there's darkness now where you once were.
I left you a message through walls of caves. If I only knew now what words to say. Now and then you could try to sell your soul just to say goodbye.
'Cause I know when you're here, there's nothing that I fear. And I know when you're there, it's too far for you to care. 'Cause I know when you're here, there's nothing that I fear. And I know when you're there, it's too far for you to care. Pushing and shoving.
And that's the way it finishes, and I like it. It's from Bill O'Wood, Breed O'Donnell, Ciara O'Donnell, Harry Lawler and Mark O'Donnell. And yeah, I really like that, pushing and shoving. All right, nice one. What am I going to do? Oh yes, I want to tell you. Listening to world news over the last couple of days, on Monday morning, the world awoke to a very positive note from President Biden in America that a ceasefire was imminent, and details were being worked out between Hamas and the Israelis. And that was played down later in the day, hugely played down by Hamas and by the Israelis. And people wondering where Mr. Biden was getting his optimism for a ceasefire being called by next Monday came from. So that's all hanging in the balance. Hopefully something will come to pass. It would be very nice if that was the situation. But I'm reading today that the battalion commander in charge of Irish and Polish peacekeepers in South Lebanon has said that his troops are preparing for an escalation of violence between Hezbollah militants and Israel. However, Lieutenant Colonel Stephen McCone said that there is still hope of a ceasefire before the holy month of Ramadan, which begins on the 10th of March. Since the 7th of October, Hezbollah has been firing rockets into northern Israel in solidarity with Hamas, which mounted a deadly attack, killing 1,200 Israelis and foreigners. A subsequent invasion of Gaza by Israel has claimed almost 30,000 lives. The violence on the border between Lebanon and Israel has driven tens of thousands of people out of their homes in search of safety away from the region. Israel has said it wants the 60,000 people displaced from the border area to return, and has threatened to take further military action against Hezbollah to ensure the safe return of its citizens to their homes. That has opened up the prospect of an all-out war in the area close to the Blue Line, which is patrolled by the United Nations, including more than 330 Irish peacekeepers. Lieutenant Colonel McOwen said neither Hezbollah nor Israel have yet used their full military capabilities in the region, despite a significant increase in hostilities in recent weeks. However, he said there is a potential for a further escalation, and Irish troops are preparing for that. Asked if the UN would pull out of the region if there was a significant increase in hostilities or an invasion, he said that decision would be made at a political level, but he believed it was unlikely that there would be a withdrawal from the region. Hey, well, I do one more. I know Mary is... No, we're good. Mary's not ready to rock and roll as yet. New figures from the Central Statistics Office show that Jack is the most popular boy's name for the 7th year in a row, while Grace was the most popular name for girls. Grace, the name that last claimed the top spot in 2002, was it 2002 or 2012? There's either a 1 or a 0 missing here. Apologies. Replaced last year's favourite of Emily. Jack's position in the number 1 spot is one that it has held for every year since 2007, except for 2016, when James was the most popular choice of name. Jack and James have been in the top 5 boys' names since 1998. Noah and James are the other 2 boys' names which make up the top 3 from last year. Grace, Emily and Sophie have been permanent fixtures in the top 5 names for baby girls for every year since 2016, with Ava entering the top 5 for the last and only time in 2021. Caelan, Jude, Paddy, Aina and Dohi are the 5 new entrants into the top 100 boys' names for 2023. 3 new baby girl names appeared: Lucia, Kayla and Shifra, with Shifra rising up the rankings the fastest, going from 157th place in 2022 to 100th in 2023. Last Friday's CSO figures also show that Murphy was the most common name for babies born in 2023, followed by Kelly, O'Brien, Ryan and Walsh. There were 9,172 distinct newborn names registered in 2023, according to the CSO figures. Compared to 50 years ago, John was the most popular boy's name in 1973. In 2023, it's occupied the 31st position. For girls, Mary was the most popular name 50 years ago, whereas in 2023, it ranked 130th. There were 36 babies given the name of Mary in 2023. James is the only name which appears in the top 10 boys' names in both 1973 and 2003. Now, see all the information you get on this programme, and 'tis all taken with a grain of salt. Indeed it is. I'm going to do a quick break. Just after that, I'm going to be talking to President-elect of the Irish Country Women's Association. That's Mary Darcy, just after these.
Live on Eire, presented by Ger Sweeney.
It was established in 1910. Now, if I do the sums, that's about 113 years ago.
That's right.
And it's still going strong.
It is still going strong. It was established in 1910 after a discussion on a train journey.
Now, can I hold you for 1 second and let me introduce you? Because it's all right. And let me tell listeners what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Irish Country Women's Association, affectionately known in communities across the country as the ICA. And there are something like 6,000 members of the ICA in 2024. And there are over 440 guilds. And the lady that you've just heard there is the president-elect of the Irish Country Women's Association, and her name is Mary Darcy. Mary, you're welcome to the programme, and thank you very much for taking time to talk to us about the association. How are you?
Thank you very much, Ger. I'm very well, thank you. And it's nice to speak to you from the sunny southeast.
Thank you. You must be buzzing, looking forward to being the president of such a fabulous organisation, are you?
I am actually. I'm looking forward to the challenge because it's an honour to be actually asked to be nominated even. So after much thought, I actually decided I would allow myself to put my name forward.
Fair play to you.
So, yeah, and I'm now president-elect as I was the only nomination. So it is a big honour, to be honest, because you're representing the women of Ireland, really.
Now, we'll get to all of that. I started by saying that it's 113 years old, and you mentioned that it was set up in 1910. So tell me the origins of the Irish Country Women's Association, please.
The origins of the Irish Country Women's Association, it actually was founded following a discussion on a train journey from Dublin back in 1910 by Anita Lett and some other ladies. And Anita Lett actually had come over from England to nurse somebody in the Brie area in Wexford.
Okay.
And then it was actually Mr. Lett, and she actually ended up marrying him. She fell in love with him and she ended up marrying him. But she also she seen how deprived the women were and how basic the life in rural Ireland was at the time. And she decided something had to be done to give women a bit of more independence. Mm-hmm. And she set up, so it's actually through cooperative effort that the ICA was established for. She also took women from the community. She sent them to England. She got them trained as midwives and brought them back. And they worked in the rural communities in Ireland as midwives. Because at that stage, women were giving birth at home with no medical assistance or help or anything else. And she actually funded this. She sent them off. She got them trained. She brought them back. And then they actually worked within the communities. And she set up the crafts, like there was weaving and crochet and home crafts, butter making and all that sort of stuff, so that people could actually set up little co-ops, get their money, they would have money, and it improved their lives so that they had a bit of independence as well. So it was education and craft through cooperative effort.
And how did it spread? Because we had no Snapchat and Twitter and X and Facebook and all those things back in 1910. So was it kind of young girls leaving parishes, getting married, and they'd set a guild up in the new parish that they might be at? Or how did it work?
Well, the Lett family would have been well known. They were a big, well-known family, and she would have been in contact with people who were well known in areas. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Lady Fingal took over as president 2 years later. Anita fell and broke her leg. She was a big horsewoman, and she fell and she broke her leg. So she actually couldn't travel then as much as she had been doing. And Lady Fingal took over as president then, and she was president for 35 years.
Okay.
But they had good, strong links across the country. So it was spread that way. And there was guilds started up not long afterwards in Kerry and Galway and different areas, and there is a historical record of the letters that would have gone forward from different areas around the country of where ICA started in 19, 11, 12, 13, So they weren't long forming afterwards, because it's amazing how contacts were used to spread the word. And because it was helping to improve the lives of women, it resonated with the people in these areas.
Okay.
So that's how it actually happened.
All right. Okay. And let's say the aims and it was ironic when I was listening to you talking about the fact that she was a nurse that came from England to look after somebody. But when you consider the amount of girls and fellas that have left our shores to go to England to look after people, so it's kind of, there's an ironic twist in all of that. When it was established, then the name would suggest that it was for rural communities more so than urban, or am I incorrect?
No, it was actually called the United Irish Women at the start.
Ah.
And the name changed in the 1930s because the United Irish Women then seemed political.
Ah, okay.
And it changed then to Banrach na Tuatha, which is the Irish Country Women's Association. It's the women of the country of Ireland.
Okay, not rural areas. Okay.
Yes.
Right,
so it was for the whole of the women of Ireland, not just country women.
Okay. And where did the bulk of membership come from in the early days? Would it be fair to say that it was mainly rural?
No, not not necessarily. No, there was a lot of rural, but there was still some in Dublin and in different towns around. There would have been guilds in different towns around as well, because some people in the towns were as deprived as some of the people in the country.
Of course,
in the country area, So it was for all women. So there was no disparaging between country and town. It was for any woman who needed, and they were allowed to set up their guilds and move forward.
Is there much involved in setting up a guild? Do you have to do anything or show anything, or
Well, it's to have the interest of enough women in the community, a minimum of 7 to start up a guild. If there's 7 people within a community who would like to start up a guild, 7 upwards, and then they contact their local federation, which is the county, branch for all the guilds to meet, and then there's the national, and somebody would go and visit them, and they would see what they really want to do, and then once everything is accepted that this is the line they want to go down, it's easy enough to form up your guild, and then you set up your guild committee.
Okay. So, 2024, what do you do?
What do we do? Well, within our communities, within our own local communities at our guild level, guilds are involved in all sorts of things. There's arts, there's crafts, there's health, there's you could have mindfulness reading clubs, you could have walking clubs, you have fitness, you have education in computers and bringing people up to speed with computers and stuff like that. It actually is very wide and varied. It's not just baking cakes and sitting down having tea and knitting and crochet. It's actually way more wide and varied than that. And so there's a lot for interest for everybody.
Okay. And is it a social kind of a thing? Do you get together socially as well as getting together for crafts and other things like that?
You can get together socially as well. People would meet for a cup of tea and a chat, and they might just go for a walk and then have a cup of coffee or whatever afterwards. Or they could have a cinema visit, or they could go to theatre or musicals or whatever. It's as social as the people within the guild want it to be.
Okay.
So it's up to the members of the guild how they want to progress with it, But the guild thing, there's a structure to the guild. You have your official meeting and you get the information of what's happening at your federation level and at national level.
Okay.
And then you plan out what you want to do locally with your classes and whatever other things you want to do, be it fitness or walking or swimming. And you can apply for grants for these things as well. So you can get funding to help you run your classes and stuff. And at your guild meeting, you generally have a guest who will come in and explain something. Could be aromatherapy. It could be making flower pots now coming into the spring. It could be on chair yoga. It could be on anything. And then you could decide even to do your makeup or hair or something like that. And then you might decide, right, well, we'll do a line of classes in correspondence with something that we've done at a class.
Okay.
So you get a taster of what it might involve and then you run with it. Or you could decide, no, that's not for us. I will go in some other direction for a class. So it's actually as varied as the women want it. And no matter how old your guild is, if a new member comes in and you've done a class on something several times, if a new member would like to learn it, you do the class so that they're included in it as well.
Oh, that's nice.
So that it's inclusive.
Okay, all right. How does one become a member of the ICA?
Once you're over 18 years of age, you're entitled to join the ICA. So you just contact one of your people who you know is in a guild in your locality and ask them, can you come to a meeting? You're entitled to come to 2 free meetings and see if it's a fit for you. And then you pay your fee if you say, yes, that suits me.
And something I suppose would have happened in older days maybe, or olden days more so, but you will always have an area that will have an active guild and maybe a couple might move into an area.
Yes.
And would you kind of say, you know what, now Josephine O'Brien down the road there. She married, young O'Brien, and will we invite her to join us? Do you do that kind of thing?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, you do. Well, anybody who would come into my area, I would always say to them, we are there. You're more than welcome to join us. Give them a chance to find their feet in the locality. But they learn to meet people in the locality then, and might find people who have similar interests to themselves as well.
Yeah. Lovely.
And they might learn a new skill at the same time.
or a few skills. Mary, if I can get personal for a minute, your own involvement with the Irish Country Women's Association, how did that begin?
It began 39 years ago when I got married.
Okay.
I moved to this area. I couldn't drive, I couldn't do anything, but there was an ICA guild here. And I went along. My mother-in-law lives next door. She was a member, and I went along with her. And I've been a member ever since.
Really?
Yes.
And what was it about going along with your mother-in-law that made you say, you know what, this is a nice fit for me?
Well, I hadn't been living in the area beforehand. I had been walking away. I'm actually from the half parish down the road from where I am now.
Okay.
But I had been gone for 6-7 years. So I wouldn't have known a lot of the younger people within the area, as I had just moved into it. And it's amazing. There was an awful lot of younger members my own age who were after getting married and coming to the area. And we all joined kind of at the same time. We all became friends. We're all still friends. Right. Some are not all members of the ICA now, but we'd all still be friends. And I actually, I like crafts. I like painting. I like cooking. I like an awful lot of things, and it was an opportunity to do those things, and it just fitted me, and I fitted it.
Lovely.
It was a good fit.
It was on the Wexford People that I spotted that you had been elected as president. I know you take over in May, and in that little article, it kind of suggested, or it listed out the various roles that you've had within the organisation. You're a busy woman. Tell me about some of the things that you've done within the ICA.
Well, at guild level, I would have been president, secretary, PRO, arts crafts officer, different things at different times. I'm still vice president over in my local guild. And at federation, I would have been arts and crafts officer. I would have been secretary, president. And with that, I came on as president. I became a member of the National Advisory Committee, which is part of the national structure. So that's how I became involved nationally. And at the moment, I'm Southeast Regional President, which covers 7 counties in the Southeast general area, and as regional president. And that brought me onto the board. And that's where I am at the moment.
Okay.
So that's how it progressed. But you can imagine that only started, the federation part only started in 2012. But from the time I joined in 85, I had been in the guild at the different positions over different times, because I had my children and all through the different times and all the rest of it. And then I had literally only come onto Federation Committee when I lost my son through suicide.
I'm sorry.
And then you're seeing the actual support that's within the whole organisation of the members for you, and the help and support that there is at all times, and we support each other, and that was very much proven at the time. And it just shows that it's not just about ICA, it's about friendship, it's about helping others and minding others and stuff like that as well, And then I continued on, and here I am now.
Okay. Itemizing what you were doing and what you've done through the years, in my head was the question to ask you about a family, and you've already mentioned that you've had children.
Yes.
Was it difficult to juggle a family life and to do all that you were doing, or was that just your headspace and that's where you needed to be?
That was my headspace. You see, the thing about it is your meeting is one night a month.
Okay.
If you have classes, then they're a night a week after that. So literally and truly, you're only given possibly a week, one night a week or 2 nights a week at some times. And Well, my children are all adults now with their own families. I have grandchildren. So I like being busy. It actually keeps my mind occupied. And ICA is not the only thing I'm involved in. I'm involved in the community and other stuff as well.
Go on, tell us. What are you at?
Well, I was part of the Parents Association in the school. I'm on a sheltered housing committee. I am on I'm chair of our local community centre committee, which we've newly built during COVID. And, there's all that sort of stuff. And anything else that's going on in the locality, I help out with as well.
You're a bundle of energy, Mary. There's no getting away from it. Being president now, as in from May, is there a term of office? Because you mentioned that the second lady was that was president was there for 35 years. But I presume your term of office isn't 35 years now.
No. Oh, God, no. It's 3 years.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
And the other things that you're involved with, will they suffer or will they have to take a back seat for the 3 years?
Well, I will actually, some of them are, I will stay on the committees. You know what I mean? I mightn't have as active a role, but I will be there if I'm needed.
Right.
Because this job is a voluntary role.
Okay.
It's a bit like a part-time job of more than half a week every week, that sort of a way.
Okay.
Or could be nearly a full week some weeks, but it wouldn't be every week in the year.
Okay.
But the other meetings, they're only meetings possibly once a month or once every couple of months. So it'll be no problem. I'll juggle them.
All right.
But I will sit back as a lower part on some of the committees, I think.
How does the ICA stay relevant in 2024? Because it's 113 years old, so you've obviously have had to keep relevant. How did you do it?
We're keeping moving with the times because we actually have an education college up at Greenon, up in Termonfeckin.
Oh, yeah.
Outside Drogheda. And there's classes and all there for the members and for non-members who can go there to do different classes and things. But the structure has changed because with the charities regulator coming in and all the rest of it, we now have to be compliant with everything. And we're working on that at the minute, and that will continue on for the next little while. So that we are fully compliant with company and charity law now. Things have changed than what they were years ago. And we are very relevant because we'd be active in climate change and we'd be active in governance and we'd be active in upskilling in different areas as well. So you're actually relevant in what's happening. We're making ourselves relevant as time goes by with what is happening around us. And we also have people who have moved to Ireland who wouldn't have been Irish born and bred, but they are now living in Ireland who have joined us as members. So we have an international twist to us as well, that you respect and you learn from these people as well, and they learn from us. So because we would be affiliated with the ACWW, which is the Association of Countrywomen of the World, and the WI, which are the Women's Institute in the UK, and COFACI, which is the family, which is families in Europe. We're on the advisory committee of it. So we are integrated in these other organisations as well. So you would be seeing what's going on, both nationally and internationally, and to help in regards with some of those things as well.
That's where I was going to go, actually, was the international element of it, because I saw it on your website, but you have explained that. Is there a political kind of a bent to what you do? In other words, we're
non-political. No, we're non-political.
Okay, so in other words, in a week's time or thereabouts, we're going to the polls for the referendums, two of them in Ireland. The ICA has no role in that, or would you hold?
We have actually. We cannot tell because every member is an individual person and they have to vote with their own conscience. We can't tell them how to vote. We're all individuals with our own independent minds, and there's so much discussion going on television and radio and everything else within the whole referendum situation, that people are listening to both sides of the argument, and we said we will ask the women to vote, but we are not telling them how to vote.
Okay, all right. I know that you are very conscious that you don't actually take the chain of office until May, and you don't want to discuss what you're going to do in your term of office. But are there priorities that you could say, you know what, the world and the ICA need to be looking at 1, 2 or 3 things? Is there anything that would kind of be there as a flag that you'd be waving or you might wave?
Well, the thing we have to do, I am conscious that Hilda Roach, our president, is still in, and in respect of her role. That's why I'm not really going into it. But there would be a few things that we definitely have to keep on top of. And one is the governance at all levels, from top down within the whole organisation. The other is climate change. Mm-hmm. And the other is education for people. And our heritage, our Irish culture and heritage, which is part of our aims and objectives as well, that we respect that and we promote it as best we can. And I wouldn't be the best person at the Gaeilge. I'm going to have to learn a few extra words.
Good.
But it's to make sure that we're passing on those skills and to keeping them known. And also that our international element that we have, that we are respecting and allowing them to show us their skills as well. So because it's amazing how closely related some of the skills that we have and that internationally people have as well, it's amazing. There can be a duplication in some of the sets of what happens with some of those skills as well.
Okay, all right.
And with climate change, it's about here and afar that climate change is affecting everybody across the planet. So it's to be able to do small steps, and we have a climate action committee, and they have leaflets out, and it's ICA, but it's I Can Act. And it shows small things that people can do to help reduce, reuse, recycle, which ICA have always done. Mm-hmm. Really and truly, most of the women have been doing that all their lives. But it's with the consumer society that we live in, it seems to be harder to get that message across to younger people at the moment that an item shouldn't be just bought for one season. It's supposed to last a bit longer than that.
That's right. A puppy isn't just for Christmas. I know.
Yes,
I know.
Precisely.
In the 39 years that you have been involved with the ICA, is there any one thing that you can point to and say, that was, to date, my proudest moment? Tricky question, I know.
That's very tricky because there are so many different things at different stages along. I wouldn't pick one out, you know, because there have been different challenges along the way, and it's getting people to come with you and support you and help you at different times. And we've seemed to have got that. Well, locally, I seem to have got that, but we seem to be getting it, trying to get it across the board, you know. So I'm hoping to bring that sort of community effort forward, that people will become more involved, you know, because some people like to just sit back and just go to their local meeting. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
But there are others in it who would like to see things moving slightly differently, but some people don't want to see that. But we have to be respectful of everybody's need. And, you know, I have done so many different things through ICA. I know there is stuff. I've done it once. I don't need to do it again. It's not for me.
Right.
You know, but unless you try, you never know. So the most proud thing, I really don't know as the most proud thing.
That's fine. There doesn't have to be one, because if you were to ask me about something, I may not be able to answer the question either. But there's sometimes when one is involved in an organisation like this, there's one thing that might stand out, but not always, because there's often a lot of things that have been done that have been good. In relation to your local communities, if somebody was organising a charity event, I mean, is the ICA there to be approached to say, will you help us out?
Absolutely.
Or do this, that or the other for us, and whatever.
We've always, and it's amazing, in an awful lot of communities, the ICA used to always, I know in the Wexford area, the ICA would have been the one to be approached. Say there was a local funeral and there was something there was a reception in the local hall. Well, it was the ICA were approached to do the teas. But that still happens. But the community effort, the community are there. If you say, look, we're doing this, and you just ask, people will definitely help out. There never was an issue in things like that. But it's just with, I think, younger people working now and commutes and stuff, it just makes it a little bit harder on time constraints on people because of, it's just the way the country has gone. Mm-hmm. And, both parents have to work. I actually worked from home. And so I actually was available. I used to juggle stuff around, so you'd make yourself available, and but it's not the same now if people have to travel and they're doing an hour or 2 hour commute every day.
Yep, that's it, exactly.
Twice a day, up and back, it's not easy then to commit
to
the same extent.
All right. Well, listen, chatting with you, Mary, you're a bundle of energy. Fair play to you. I don't know how you keep all the balls in the air, but fair play to you for doing it. Thank you for talking to us about the Irish Country Women's Association. For anybody that would like to find out more about it, the website address is ica.ie. And there's plenty of information there as to what everybody gets up to. Mary, I want to wish you well in your presidency and in your preparation for that. I'm sure it'll be an exciting time for you. And anything that you think we can help with in the 3 years that you're president, please make sure put us on the list and let us know what's happening, and we could be back to you again.
Thank you very much. Gurmil Mahagod.
You're practicing already for the girl. Good girl.
Thank you so much, Ger.
Green rose, a lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. A gentleman was passing by. He asked for a drink as he was dry at the well below the valley, oh. Green rose, the lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. My cup is full up to the brim. If I were to stoop, I might fall in at the well below.
If your true love was passing by, you'd fill him a drink if he was dry at the well below the valley. Green rose and lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh.
She swore by grass, she swore by corn. Her true love had never been born at the well below the valley, oh. Green rose and lily, oh, right among the bushes,
oh. He said to her, you're swearing wrong. 6 fine children you had born at the well below the valley, oh.
Green rose and lily, oh, right among the bushes, oh. If you be a man of noble fame, you'll tell to me the father of them at the well below. Says
to me what'll happen myself at the well below the valley. Oh, green rose the lily, oh, hide among the bushes. Oh,
You'll be 7 years a ringing about the valley, oh, the valley, oh. 7 years a born in hell at the valley, oh, the valley, oh.
I'll be 7 years a ringing a bell that the Lord above may save my soul from burning in hell. At the well below the valley, oh, green rose the lily, oh, bright among the bushes, oh.
Isn't that beautiful? Pauline Scanlon and Barry Kerr together, The Well Below the Valley. Oh, aye, smashing stuff all together. I could listen to a night of that. I could play that again. Would you object? You might. Garda Commissioner Drew Harris has said that it is nearly impossible to say how much drugs are coming onto the island of Ireland. And he also said that organised crime groups see Ireland as a target. Mr. Harris said that the street value price of cocaine has increased by around 25% in the last 3 to 4 months. That shows the value of the work on the island of Ireland, he said. He was speaking at a cross-border police conference on organised and serious crime in County Cavan today, which was also attended by the PSNI Chief Constable John Boucher. Mr. Harris said that work is still ongoing, investigating the recent seizure of crystal meth that we mentioned earlier on the programme. 546 kilograms of the synthetic drug was seized in Ringaskiddy in County Cork. He said that there had been a speculation around the intended final destination of the seized drugs, and the Gardaí are still actively investigating that. Mr. Harris added that Gardaí have been involved in drug seizures in the Caribbean and in West Africa, and that officers are working to prevent drugs moving across the North Atlantic. The Garda Commissioner also said that Ireland is seen as a target by organised crime groups because it is seen as a wealthy country. He added, this is one of the principal challenges for policing, and that organised crime gangs do not respect borders. Mr. Harris said the biggest issue now is international crime in comparison to 20 years ago. PSNI Chief Constable John Boucher said that anything that arrives in Dublin will arrive in Belfast, whether it's drugs or people trafficking. He said that there is a need to make the island of Ireland a hostile environment for them to operate in, and he genuinely believes that that is the direction to travel. Or of travel. Mr. Harris cited cooperation between An Garda Síochána and the PSNI during its investigation into a drug seizure on the MV Matthew as a good example of cross-border cooperation. The MV Matthew was seized off the south coast of Ireland in September last with €157 million worth of cocaine on board. Incredible stuff. Incredible. Now, yes, I'm going to give you this information. I gave it to you last week. It's from the embassy, the Irish embassy in Madrid, and it's to do with the Tourism Ireland's Semana de Irlanda to celebrate St. Patrick's Day 2024. Now, the embassy is presenting 2 film screenings in Casa de Vacas in Rotero Park as part of the programme of events taking place throughout the week. So you never know. You might be listening to this in Madrid, or you might be in Madrid around the time that this is all happening, and it might be something you'd like to attend. On Monday, the 11th of March at 7 p.m, there is a screening of the Irish film Notes from Sheepland by director Cara Holmes and scriptwriter Orla Barry. The film tells Orla's unique story of an artist and shepherd living and working in Wexford in the southeast of Ireland. As Orla balances her art career with the uncompromising work of caring for a flock of pedigree sheep, The audience sees how these two very different worlds combine and complement each other. The film screening will be in English with Spanish subtitles. The following day then, Tuesday the 12th of March at 7 p.m, the embassy hosts a presentation by the President of the Spanish Armada Ireland, Eddie O'Gorman, who's been on this programme, and producer Micheál O'Donnell, followed by a 30-minute documentary titled Armada 1588, Shipwreck and the Survival. Spanish Armada Ireland is a County Sligo organisation dedicated to commemorating and sharing the story of the shipwreck of the Spanish Armada off the west coast of Ireland in 1588. Their documentary is based on true events and tells the story of one survivor of the 1588 shipwreck and his dramatic escape through Ireland to return home to safety. The documentary will be screened in Spanish. It's very important to note that though these screenings are free of charge, you must obtain your ticket to attend the screenings through Eventbrite page by clicking on links provided. Now, I'm not going to give you the links because they're too long-winded, as I mentioned last week. So if you want them, just send me an email, Ger, G-E-R, @TRE.radio, and I will send you the links, all right? There is a limit of 2 tickets per booking for a full lineup of all activities taking place during the week. You'll find more information on Tourism Ireland's Semana de Irlanda page. Just Google that and you will find it, alrighty? The embassy will be doing a follow-up soon, and they will be doing a roundup of the events taking place across Spain over St. Patrick's Day and week and weekend. So there you have it. Right. The clock has beaten us again to a pulp. 2 hours flies. Although I must say, no, I'm tired. Second gig of the day today. And I'm looking forward to being back in the morning as well. But first, can I say thank you to Sarah Blatnick, the marketing director at visitdublinohio.com, for talking to us about their St. Patrick's celebrations. And the promotion, great idea. And let's hope that some people take them up on that. I should have asked her, was it 20 or 30 pints a day? Or was it kind of like a measly throughout your stay? Thanks also to Mary Darcy, the president-elect of the Irish Country Women's Association. I learned a lot about the association in that conversation. I hope you did as well. And can I say a big thank you, as always, to our Spanish-Irish cultural advisor on the programme, Antonio Sierra. Thank you, Antonio, for the work that you do in providing content and ideas for content and for spreading the word about Live on Eire. I'll see you in the morning at 8 o'clock for another edition of Daybreak. Or maybe next Wednesday you'll join me for another Live on Eire. From me, Ger Sweeney, bye-bye and thanks.
Ger Sweeney presents Live on Eire in association with emeraldconnection.net.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.